So guys, the kids are going back to school. Halla freaking Luya. I am so excited for structure and routine and just to get back to real life. Now, I know some of you may not be sending your kids back to school. Some of you guys are doing the homeschooling thing. Either way, this video is going to apply to you because I'm about to share with you, I don't remember how many tips I have, but a bunch of tips that are going to help you improve your step family life this school year, because back to school time is just another example of how when you're in a step family, everything is a little more challenging and a little more complicated, or a lot more complicated, but you get what I'm saying. All right, so I just checked and there are 9 tips. I have 9 tips for you that if you implement will minimize your step family stressors this school year. And I think we can all agree that that sounds really freaking good. So before we dive into the tips, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and let me know what you are struggling with right now in your step family life. I want to hear where you are at, what's working for you, what's not working for you. Let me know. I love hearing from you. All right, so the first tip is you have to get on the same page as your partner. And when I say that, I don't mean telling him what the rules are going to be and what you think the rules should be so that he agrees, and then when it comes to implementing it in real life, he doesn't actually follow through and then you guys get in a fight. I'm talking about getting real, having a conversation about what the rules and expectations are for the kiddos this school year. Number 2, you're going to need to be flexible. Rules, I feel like, are meant to be broken. And often at the beginning of the school year, we sit down, we come up with all of these expectations and the routine and all the things we're gonna do to be on the ball this school year. And then there is a late night, or one night you wanna stay up later and watch a movie. That's typically my husband, by the way. And you need to be flexible. You have the rules. It's kind of like this baseline for what you're going to try to do every single day, but don't be a drill sergeant. Sidebar, my husband used to call me a drill sergeant. You need to be flexible. If I were you, I would look back on last year and think about things that caused an issue between you and your partner when it came to rules for your stepkids. Where can you be a little more flexible? What can you let go? Where can you be just a little more easygoing? Because that can go a long way. The third thing that I think is super effective is check in with the kids. Before back to school, or even if you're already back to school, ask them their opinion. Ask them what they think would be good for back to school. Ask them what they think they could do better. They are so good at coming up with different ways to run your house, so ask them. When it comes to rules and expectations and consequences and things that they can help out with around the house, it's crazy. When you ask them their opinion on things, they're way more likely to follow through. Number 4, and this may not be possible for you, okay? So if you have a high conflict relationship, or the ex can't stand you, or you guys get into blowouts, just ignore this tip and go on to the next one. But if you have a good relationship with the ex, or even an okay relationship with the ex, it's a really good opportunity to check in. Ask her what's working for her. Ask her what rules and expectations she has at her house. She will want to tell you how to parent. That, in a lot of situations, that goes a long way. It's really nice when you can be somewhat consistent between the two houses. So maybe you guys can come up with a way that you guys have a same routine, same expectations, same consequences, and a really great co-parenting relationship. Again, I know, not always possible, but if you can check in with her and it can be an effective conversation and productive, it's worth a try. Number 4, figure out who is responsible for what when it comes to the kids. So I'm talking pizza lunches, filling out forms, paying for the fees, like all of the things that come up during the school year, or even like back to school stuff, all the things that come up with extracurriculars too, like anything to do with the kids, come up with a plan, figure out who is responsible for what. I don't know about you, there's been so many times in our step family life where a form didn't get submitted because we thought she was doing it and she thought we were doing it, or whatever. So the more organized and clear you can get on who is doing what for the kids when it comes to back to school, the better. Now, this is actually really, really beneficial when you're in a high conflict situation, because if you know who's doing what, there is less need to communicate. And in these situations, the less communication, the better. Number 5, Go back to last year again. Think back to last year and think about the issues that came up. Where did you guys run into trouble? Where were the big step family stressors? What were the big issues last year? And then be proactive. Decide what you can do to minimize the impact that has on you and prevent that from happening. So let's go back to the pizza lunches, for instance. There was a year where there was a lot of just miscommunication and controversy over who was going to pay for the pizza lunch. Yeah, like I said, you know, when you're in a step family situation, this is an example of when even the simplest things are not simple. So what we decided to do to prevent this from happening again, we decided who was going to pay for pizza lunches all year long. And in lieu of that, we would always pay for the cell phone. We did what we can to make up a plan to prevent that from being an issue moving forward. You know, you're going to have a different situation, you're going to have different stressors, but what can you do to prevent it from happening? And don't get caught up in the whole, well, she should be doing that, or we should be doing that, or that isn't fair. Sometimes it's just better to have a solution and to not have the stressor be an issue. So if it's not fair, it's not fair. Do what you can to prevent it from happening. Number 6, you got to keep the school in the loop. All right, shoot the school a message or have your partner shoot the school a message and let them know, especially when the kids are young, what your schedule is like with the kids. When are the kids with their mom? When are the kids with their dad? What are the contact numbers? Often the forms that come home, they're not really designed for people in co-parenting situations. There are 2 numbers, right? There's the mom and then there's the dad. And that does not leave space for the stepmom. You want to make sure that the school knows that there is a stepmom or a stepdad in the picture. You want to make sure that your teacher or your kid's teacher knows your step family dynamic. The more in the loop they can be, the better they are at supporting the little guy or little girl. Number 7, request 2 copies of correspondence. The worst thing is when you're not in the loop. You didn't know report cards came out, or you didn't know that there was a newsletter, you didn't know that there was a field trip coming up, right? Sometimes emails or newsletters get sent out to just one family because they assume that everyone is in a first family and everyone lives under the same roof. Again, I don't know why schools haven't adapted to the fact that there are a lot of blended families out there. Sometimes, you know, it is what it is. So make sure you request 2 copies so that you always know what is going on. Number 8, go on the website and check out the school calendar. They'll tell you when Wacky Hair Day is, or when Picture Day is, or when lunch money is due, or whatever is going on with the school. Again, this is another way to make sure that you're not blindsided the night before, that it's like pizza day or neon sock day or all the things that get sprung on you last minute, especially when you're in a co-parenting relationship. So the more organized you can be about what you can expect in the school year, the less surprises will come your way. Number 9, do not sweat the parent-teacher conference. So I have a video on this. You can check it out here, but please don't sweat the parent-teacher conference. A lot of times stepmoms find themselves in a situation where they really want to go to the parent-teacher conference or meet the teacher night, and mama's like, she's not coming, it's not her place, it's not her kid. This causes so much conflict for so many families. And here's my thoughts. Don't sweat it, okay? Do not sweat the parent-teacher conference. If you go or if you don't go, it actually doesn't really matter. Your partner can go, he can relay the information to you. You can arrange a separate meeting. Just do what you can to minimize conflict and know that whether you attend this conference or not, it does not really matter. It doesn't determine the role or dedication you have to your stepchildren's education. It literally just doesn't matter. The goal is to minimize conflict, minimize stress, and don't sweat the small stuff. It's important to look at the big picture. All right, so that's all the tips that I have for this video, guys. If you want a little bit of a recap or you want a few more tips, because I do have a few more, I do have a free guide with all my tips on how to improve your co-parenting relationship this school year and minimize your stress. So you can I've linked it below. You can download it, and yeah, be sure to let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any tips to add to this. Leave them in the comments below. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot.